Hey everyone, Fohammer2003 here, back again with a review of Payday 2 out in the US today on Xbox 360, PC and PS3, and Europe as of Friday. For those of you who are unaware of Payday the Heist, this is the sequel in which the developers have tweaked and improved upon the success of the original game. The plot is pretty simplistic. You're back to steal, rob, kidnap and cause as much damage as possible to gain money which you then spend on furthering your criminal career. Many are calling this a heist simulator. What I can tell you about this game is that how much you enjoy Payday 2 is very much linked on how you played Payday 2. The game features up to 4-player online co-op, which features dynamic missions for you and your party to complete, and this is where the division on enjoyment from the game stems from. Play with 3 other friends and you'll no doubt enjoy the cooperative gameplay as you work as a team to accomplish your goal in the best way possible and reap the maximum rewards. Play by yourself on the other hand, with AI bots on your team, and you're in for a long and frustrating grind that will ultimately seem worthless, with such a steep curve that you will lose most enjoyment after your first few missions. Levelling up will just seem fruitless and not much fun at all. This I think will have most players split quite heavily in whether the game is any good or not. First off, the levelling up and tech trees are pretty extensive. This isn't a bolted on upgrade path to satisfy first person shooter fans. This is quite an accomplished set of skills that you will require to unlock and further your character to complete harder missions, and do so with less collateral damage. Further to this skill set that can be unlocked, you also have a sizable array of weaponry, to which to buy and use both primary and secondary weapons, which can also have attachments or mods applied to them to make them even more effective for your playstyle. On top of that, you will have different characters with different base skill sets, each with their own unique set of skills that will be useful to the group. Levelling up and affording these skills or weapons, and their upgrades however, will be where the grind starts. You may heist $300,000 for example, but you will only personally gain $7,000 to spend on your upgrades, and the rest will go into your offshore account, where you will never get to touch it. It would have been so much better to have a system where you choose how much to tuck away and how much is available for upgrades, as the upgrades and weapons cost so damn much that you stick to your original loadout for far too long. That is unless you play co-op, where you can easily complete the harder missions with bigger pay rewards because your human player team are so much more capable than the AI counterparts. This is where the game falls flat on its face for people wanting to play offline or by themselves, and why my opinion of the game is so heavily split. After 6 hours of solid play as single player, I walked away feeling like I'd accomplished absolutely nothing and hardly unlocked a thing in the game. I kept playing, but only for review purposes, I'll be honest. As said before, co-op is where the fun is. The game, as I said before, is a first-person shooter, and at the start of each heist session, you enter in casing mode. This means you can scout out the layout and security of the location you're about to commit your crime. It's a nice feature that definitely envelops you in the chaos that is to come. Then it's time to put on your mask. Masks, by the way, are collectible and customisable, and there are many interesting types to wear and scare the shit out of your customers. Once you have your mask on, you have access to your arsenal, and it's time to go get your money. Although this sequel makes much more emphasis on the ability to use stealth to your advantage, sneaking around undetected for a while, in actual fact it's rarely long before your presence is detected and the carnage starts. To be honest, this game is much more fun when engaged in heavy combat, fighting off waves of various types of enforcement officers, which increase in number and strength, whilst using various ways of gaining entry into safes and rooms to go get your loot. And there's something quite satisfying about entering a jewellery store, checking the place out and its security before putting on your mask and telling people to get down on the floor and zip tying their hands behind their backs before cracking open display cases and looting the joint. The game often becomes a balancing act. For example, set a thermal drill to drill out the lock to a safe. Whilst it's doing that, you fend off police, while also restraining your hostages. Then your thermal drill will jam and need attention, meaning you need to reset it, whilst also making sure your back is being covered by your team as you do so. Like I say, it's a balancing act, one that adds to the frantic gameplay. Missions vary in type and difficulty. You do not just rob banks, you also rob streets of small shops, kidnap people, and destroy businesses to certain amounts of damage. And that's just one of the things that bug me a little. When completing a heist or causing $50,000 of damage to a mall, you will never actually know your progress in a way that's helpful. It would have been quite simple for the game's developers to add a simple HUD display of your current progress, but it's absent, just a vocal reminder of roughly how you're doing. The difficulty of this game can certainly be relentless, but it's really down to the skill of you and your co-op crew to outsmart and outgun the enemy AI. This fails more often than not when using AI crew in your team, who will heal you when you're down, but that's about it. The graphics, whilst improved from the original Payday, are far from amazing, but they are functional and do the job adequately, I suppose. But as you can probably see, there is an air of Call of Duty with the overall look of the game and the frame rate and animations. Sound is an important element of Payday 2. The music when the action starts certainly adds pace to the action in game, with a good soundtrack, and when telling your hostages to get on the fucking ground and stay there, it certainly adds an element of elevation to the atmosphere. Guns sound great, and only the sound of drills buzzing may annoy you. In conclusion, the game is exactly as I stated at the beginning of this review. Payday 2 will be great fun for those who are playing in a team of real life players, working together to your objectives, and unfortunately pretty miserable, although playable experience, with elements of fun for those who want to play the game as a single player. So anyway, that's it for me guys and girls. Hope you enjoyed the review and that it helps you get a better understanding of the game. As always, take it easy and please like, subscribe and leave a comment below. Bye!